Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. Welcome back to 10 Minutes of Meaning. Please help yourself to some coffee and donuts. As always, we thank our anonymous sponsor who sponsor our 10 Minutes of Meaning, L'zecher Nishmas Alter Shlomo Ben Pinchas. This morning's 10 Minutes of Meaning is also co-sponsored by Mike and Esti Lupin in memory of Esti Moskowitz, Esther Tilabas of Gabriel Pinchas. Also, this morning, I want to remind everyone we've begun our global campaign. There are people all over the world who benefit, who enjoy the content, the Torah, the articles, the panels, the shiurim that BRS provides. You can't benefit, you can't enjoy without doing your part to contribute, to enable us to be able to continue to spread. If you're a BRS member, you do your part. This is not directed at you. But if you're not, go to brsonline.org/global and make a commitment, whatever you want. $8, $18, $18,000. But please do your part. Don't simply take without also giving and enabling other people to join. The sooner that you contribute to our campaign, the less you'll have to hear about it over the coming days and weeks. We're on the 22nd chapter of Mesillas Yesharim. The Ramchal has been talking about the midah of anava towards the end of the Sefer, which is in itself very telling. That humility, practicing humility, the Ramchal divides in two ways: b'machshava, having a humble mentality, and b'maisa, in action, in act, dictating the way we behave and interact with the world. And the fact that he's waited till the end or near the end of the Sefer tells us just how daunting, how difficult it is to indeed live with a genuine humility. Not a fake humility, not a humble brag, but to in fact always have the mindfulness, the consciousness, and the awareness of how limited we are, how fleeting life is, how mere mortal we are, and how much we will be future worm food. You don't have to be a super genius. You don't have to have major analysis. You don't have to delve deeply in order to find our limitations, in order to find how fallible we are. Maybe the posture we put out to the world, the carefully curated image we put online or offline that we show the world as if everything's great and we've got it together and all is flowing smoothly. But the reality is, we know how imperfect we are. We know what we struggle with. We know our failures. The smartest, the greatest genius, the most knowledgeable among us is an absolute gornish and nothing compared to earlier generations. And that's what we have to know, and know in truth. And that's what we have to be aware of, and aware of all the time. As much as we accomplish and achieve, as much as we break through, as much as we have to be proud of, to also stay focused. How limited, how finite, how feeble we are. You think you're so smart? You think we know everything? Any given topic, there are people who are so confident in their view. And overconfidence comes from hubris. It comes from arrogance. The great Nobel Prize winner, Daniel Kahneman, who was a cousin of the great Panovich Rosh Hashiva, he said in one word, his greatest fear, the one thing he would change in the world today is overconfidence. People are overconfident. They're arrogant. They think they have all the answers and we know everything and we're overconfident in our approach to everything. But really, Sechlenu Chalash Ad Ma'od. Chazon Ish, someone once came to the Chazon Ish and said, I don't understand the ways of the Almighty, the Ribono Shalom. How does the Kodesh Baruch Hu create and conduct the world the way He does? Why do bad things happen to good people? And why do things happen the way they do? And I demand to know, I want to understand. So the Chazon Ish opened the Gemara, and he pointed to a Tosfos, and he told the young man, what's Pshat in Tosfos? Tell me what's Tosfos asking, what's he answering? Young man caught off guard, somewhat startled, looked at the Tosfos, and he couldn't figure it out. He couldn't make sense of it. So Chazon Ish looked at him and he said, you don't understand Tosfos, and you think you're entitled to understand the master of the universe? You can't figure out what Tosfos is saying, but you feel entitled to understand the way God runs His world? We're very limited. We're very limited. As smart as we are, as accomplished as we are, as quickly as you solve Wordle or Quirtle or whatever games that you play, and you think you're the smartest, it took so few tries. Sichlenu chalash ad ma'od. How little. Hasichlas rav banu ba'atos goveres v'asheneda oso eino ela ma'at min ma'at. What we know is a sliver of a nothing of a nothing. How fallible is our memory, our comprehension, our capacity. In Kain Vade Sheinroi Lonel Yinase Klal El Haboshes Vashiflas Vizeh Pashut. The Ramchal is not telling us this to knock us down, to make us feel inadequate, to make us feel bad. he's giving us a very sobering look in the mirror. We should be proud, and we should be driven, and we should celebrate our accomplishments, but we should also be realists, and we should understand the boundaries and the limitations that we live in. So why would we ever get arrogant? Why would we ever grow arrogant? We should know. We should know how finite life is. So until now, the Ramchal has been talking about anivus, this quality of humility in the world of machshava, in thought, how we think of ourselves, our self-perception, our self-awareness, our self-identity, and the identity that we put to the world. But now we're going to talk about humility in practice. Humility in practice. He's going to divide it into 4 parts. Number 1, to carry ourselves b'shiflos, in a lowly manner. We don't walk into a room and suck all the air out of the room. We don't demand honor. We don't demand respect. We don't demand fame and followers. B'sivlol ha'elbol nos. Number 2 is bearing disparagement. How are we able to absorb the blows that life is going to give us? Someone was rude. Someone was discourteous. Someone was chutzpahdik. Someone was disrespectful. So do you say, do you know who I am? How dare you? Or do you say, okay, that's a problem in him, not in me. God bless, and move on. What's our capacity to absorb people's disparagement, disrespect? A person who's filled with arrogance and ego is unable to. They'll escalate a confrontation. It'll get ugly because their ego gets in the way. And if you're able to control and sublimate your ego, you walk away. Who cares? So that person lost their cool. So that person said that thing. So that person reacted. That person texted. That person emailed. That person called. Okay, that's a problem in them, not in me. I'll walk away. Bisno harabanos. Number 3 is the ability to be averse to positions of authority. Doesn't mean hate rabbis. Some of you are makayim that behidr. But it doesn't mean to hate rabbis. It means to hate authority. It means that you tolerate. When you're asked to be honored, or you're asked to be the chair of the committee, or you're asked to take a leadership role, you're asked to serve as a president, you don't run to it because your name's going to appear in lights. You say no 3 times before you acquiesce. You do it hesitantly because you don't want any honor that comes with it, but you feel you have to be of service. Uboreach min hakavod, the last is to run away from honor. When you run away from honor, honor pursues you. When you chase after honor, honor runs away from you. So these are the 4 areas. So let's get started. Ha'echad. Number 1 was hisnaheg b'shifla. So we said we've talked about it in self-awareness, self-perception, machshava, and now we move over to these 4 realms of maisa. Hisnaheg b'shiflos, conducting oneself in a humble manner. B'zeh roi sheyeh, that first one can itself be divided into 3 parts. B'diburo, how do we speak? How do we communicate? Number 2, b'halichasa, how do we walk? And number 3, b'shivto u'b'chol tenu osav, with our place within the community and all of our movements. So how do we conduct ourselves? How do we carry ourselves? If the sound were off and someone was just watching the video of the way that we walk into a room, the way that we engage colleagues, peers, employees, family members, does our body language, does it project arrogance and ego? Do we have a swagger in the way we walk into a room? Or do we not need to be the center of attention, the center of the room, the smartest, the loudest in the room? B'dibur, let's start with speech. Amru, Zechron Levracha, the Gemara Yuma says, Li'olam, I just lost camera. Sorry. I have no idea what just happened. Li'olam, what just happened? Sorry. Li'olam. A person should always speak gently and courteously. A person should always be benachas. The Ramban writes this in his letter to his son. Ka'as, anger is the worst quality that can be, and the way to avoid anger is if you speak tisnaheg tamid. Tisnaheg is lashon hispa'el, reflexive. Transform yourself into the type of person who always speaks gently and kindly to all. Don't yell, don't scream, don't lose your cool, don't act with rage. Always speak kindly to all. Umikra malayu, divrei chachamim benachas nishmayim. The Shlomo HaMelech in Koheles says, you're smart? If you're smart, you want to be heard. If you're smart, you want to be persuasive. No one ever convinced someone else by yelling at them, by screaming at them. But persuade with words, with your body language, with your demeanor. Don't embarrass, don't shame, don't disparage, don't denigrate, don't knock someone down. Elevate people with your words and persuade them. Make a persuasive argument. So number one is b'diburo. Number one is the way that we speak. Speak benachas. Speak gently and softly and sweetly, and people will listen and hear you. A person who yells and screams arrogantly needs to fill the whole room. Everyone needs to listen and turn to them. That comes from arrogance. It comes from ego. The person who's willing to speak softly, is humble, and then people listen more attentively. So listen to me when I tell you, take out your phone right now. If you're watching, if you're listening, if you're not a BRS member, and go on brsonline.org/global. And if you enjoy, and if you're enriched, and if you're humble, then you'll share what you have with others to enable us to continue to promote. Please contribute to our global campaign. Simply show basic Hakaras HaTov. We appreciate everybody's support. Continue 15 minutes with Living with Emunah, and at 9:30 the Parsha share. Until next time, stay happy, healthy, and holy. Enjoy some coffee and donuts.